All right, we're live.
We are live.
Let's do this.
We're here.
What are you guys up to?
Oh, man. The dog days of winter, is that such a thing?
I guess so.
Oh, it's
Seasonal
so
depression.
Yeah, man.
cold.
Yeah.
Been trying to avoid it by heading south. Within the last couple of months, I've been to Nashville and Tampa. Well,
That's a good
actually,
idea.
all of just in January, I went down there. I was like, I
Nice.
can't be around the cold anymore.
That's
it just
a good
sucks.
call. Yeah, that's a good call.
Except this past weekend was nice.
It was.
50.
And then the
right?
cold snap just,
Boom.
man, hit us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's also the other end of that. You go down south, hang out with family in Florida or whatever, and then you come back. You're like, whoa, why am I coming
Yeah,
back
it
here?
sucks that much more when you
Yeah.
get back
Yeah.
because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Well,
real.
I guess I better
some,
open a drink.
Might as well have
There
an
we
adult
have it.
beverage.
Yeah, it's what, 1:30?
5 o'clock somewhere, like we were saying.
Open the
1:30 is
claw.
good enough.
I'm not really sure how people podcast without drinking.
It does take the edge off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen yours,
yeah.
your new one. What's it called?
Oh, where's the line?
Where's the line?
Yeah, a little sports betting show we got going on.
And if you guys are drinking, you're not advertising.
We're
it.
not having, yeah, there might be a little something to that, but yeah, you notice we do have cups in front of us.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay. I get it. I
I
get it.
figured
Yep.
what was going on there.
Okay.
I think last episode we were using farm focused cups.
There you
So
go.
how about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. So we do have a guest today. One of the things I thought would be kind of a cool topic and a little fun would be to talk about how this gentleman came up and just kind of small business, entrepreneurship, finding your way, getting into kind of your own thing. So, Corey Jones, what's up, man?
Not much. Been pretty, like I said, been pretty busy here these last couple months. The last week of December, went out to Rabbit Ears, Colorado, doing some, first of all, videographer, by the way, for folks that don't know.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Videographer,
Yeah.
content creator. So
Yep.
I was out in Rabbit Ears, Colorado with RPM Power Sports on snowmobiles, filming for their new product line that they got coming out. Came back, did a big New Year's event downtown Omaha. Left, went to Nashville, came back, did another event, left, went to Tampa Bay for a few days,
Jeez.
came back and did two more events in Omaha. So within the last couple months, if you wanted to know what day of the week it is, I wasn't your guy. I had no idea. I really, if it was Monday, if it was Friday, I had no idea. So
Now,
days just kind of blend together anymore.
Yeah.
Corey Jones of CoreyJonesProductions.com. What do you mean when you say I did a New Year's Eve event or I did a party or a high rollers, stakeholders type of, like, what does that mean?
So I go to these events and I'm hired on to make recap after videos for the parties. Go up there, get shots of people having fun, drinking, the DJs, whoever.
Right. Like Kim Kardashian, like, oh, look, she did have a good time. Now look at her again.
Yeah.
This was the party she did go to. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, those
Basically,
videos
I'm
are
hanging
everywhere.
out with Kim the whole time.
Nice. Nah, Kanye's out of the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
No, now that they're just basically after movies of what's going on to recap the event in hopes of getting more people next year.
Of
So,
course.
Oh, okay.
So I was pretty excited to do the New Year's event. It's called To the Nines in Omaha. I actually went 2 years ago, and they call it To the Nines because it's suit, dresses, the whole thing.
Right.
And it was a lot of fun. So being able to be asked back to work the event was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that with those particular events like you're talking about, that's the whole point, is to just create some buzz to try to make it bigger the following year.
Yep.
What they're hiring you for.
Get a bigger following because everything, I hear it from clients all the time. Everybody wants video. Video's the big
right.
thing. That's what people like to see, whether it's a 10-second TikTok or a 15-minute YouTube video. People just
Dude.
love videos. So
Yeah.
Vlogs are killing blogs. I mean, just like,
that's
television killed the radio star. I feel it's the same way.
yeah. So vlogs is actually something that I've just recently trying to get into. They're just a lot of fun to make. I did it
Right.
out in Rabbit Ears where I was just kind of filming myself, talking and doing whatever, mixed in with some cool compilations with the music and and got a pretty good reaction out of it. So I want to keep doing that one for sure.
How would you guys define a vlog? Because technically, I mean, I hear that term thrown around a lot, and I don't know technically if I really even know what it is.
Video blog.
Yeah, I know, but I understand how it came together, but and that's a stupid thing for me to say because there's a lot of people, you know, on the website that we run that are vloggers. But
Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know.
What is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just with that, it's, you know, all the cool aspects of taking a video edited to cool music, but then you personally come in and tell the story.
Telling the story, sure. Yeah.
You know, like and tell it like we're sitting here, I'm talking to you guys. You talk to the audience through the camera that way, and it just helps people connect with you a lot better. And, you know, it's anybody can go out there and work their ass off to put out a cool video with all the transitions and colors and stuff. But, you know, what people really, really like is connecting with the person.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Right.
So the vlog is it's gonna include like some kind of dialogue.
Yes.
Information.
Dialogue
Totally,
in
yeah.
it, you know, describe the set and setting, what we're
Yeah,
doing,
sure.
and why we're doing it.
Yep.
So the difference between that and just a YouTube video, to me, then, is adding that music content.
Yeah.
Because YouTube is normally someone holding the camera, right? Just
Yeah.
talking,
Well, I think a
showing
lot
their
of like
day.
YouTube creators would consider what they're doing a vlog.
Okay, I would too, but
think.
it was interesting when you said adding some music or like.
Yeah, and it does. You don't have to do that either.
Okay.
I do because it just adds some more
Yeah.
pizzazz to it, I guess. But I mean, there's people out there that vlog and they literally do nothing but hold the camera up like this for 10 minutes and talk to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And which sounds like what? But then you'll see like people eat it up. They watch the whole thing. It's
yeah,
100%,
so
yeah.
to me that's
You don't
Yeah.
need
You
that.
can make it your
yeah.
own.
Okay.
Uh,
I like it.
you know, in my other world, you know, with Chasing the Dream TV, our outdoor hunting show, Garrett wanted to get more into vlogging, our main producer and co-owner, and he launched a vlog series from start to finish, talking about putting out deer mineral and deer feed and the why you should do it, where you should do it, and how much. And I mean, that took off like wildfire, and of course the sponsors loved it because it was explaining their products and the correct way to use them to get the most out of them. So I wasn't sold on it at the beginning,
Okay.
you know, but the more you watched it and then the following that we started to see, I'm like, okay, there might be something to this vlog thing because
Yeah.
people whatever it is, I feel like people would rather spend 5 minutes watching somebody talk about something than reading it on an old school
Oh,
blog.
for
You know what I
sure.
mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who wants to read?
What is that? What is a book or a magazine?
Whoa.
What are those things?
How do you say that?
Magazine.
That's what one of the reasons why I was pretty excited to have this conversation because video, you know, as you touched on in the beginning, Corey, is super hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's what everybody wants to do. So I'm excited to learn about that, and then also just the whole evolution of, you know, how do you go from being whatever you were and doing whatever you were doing prior to this, you know, to figuring out that, you know, this is your thing. So, you know, as we talked about in the beginning, obviously, you know, you're running Corey Jones Productions, you're putting together this video for folks, doing a lot of production, helping with social media, those types of things. But to rewind a ways, you know, where did you grow up and what has your kind of like, if you call it professional progression been like? You know, what were you doing for work and what kind of got you pointed in this direction?
Yeah, so I grew up, I mean, super small town, Nebraska. I grew up in Hawken, Nebraska, which is about 200 people. And I was always into art growing up. I was always drawing, always painting, always creating something. I had to be all the time. I was the kid that would get in trouble in school or with his teachers because the homework wasn't complete, but there's sketches all the way around the outside of the page. You know what I mean?
You're one of those guys, huh?
I'm one of those guys, and unfortunately, I was one of those guys pretty much into high school. So, yeah.
Hey, that's all right.
But was always just creating stuff, and I always liked watching videos. I was super into Slednecks movies, which is it's a group of backcountry snowmobilers doing cool stuff, and I was always obsessed with the videos growing up because I always had it edited to cool music, and I always wanted to be one of those guys. You know, fast forward from that, it just kind of ended up being that it's not so much I wanted to be one of those guys as I wanted to be the guy creating it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I got into, I I was working in my early 20s as a truck driver for the county roads department, and was doing that, and I was kind of like, well, why? I don't like working for anybody. I don't do well working for anybody. And I was like, why am I doing this for somebody else? So I ended up buying my own truck, got into owning Hard Rock Trucking, which was my own trucking business. And it was kind of one of those things where it's like I wanted to be my own boss and do my own thing and pick my own path. It's just that I didn't pick one that I was particularly passionate about. So it didn't really work out that well. Mm-hmm. So I was doing it, and in that time that I was doing the trucking company, I had a GoPro, not much newer than this one sitting here. And I ended up taking a trip down to Puerto Rico, and I always wanted to use the GoPro. I never did anything with it. It just sat around. Went to Puerto Rico, and I was like, you know what, screw it. This time I'm going to take the camera, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm not shutting it off until I leave. So I did, and we did a lot of really cool stuff, hiking to like hidden waterfalls, surfing, doing all the stuff. And I came back, and I got Premiere Pro on my laptop, which is an editing software. Basically taught myself how to use it, spent 2 weeks editing the video.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy. I was
not.
Teaching myself and going to YouTube and like, how do I cut a clip? Like I didn't even know like how to do anything.
How do you get it from there to there?
Yeah. So it was a whole process, and I just became like obsessed with it. Like I would be obsessed with like a sketch or a painting or whatever. I got into that like that. And which is kind of funny now, because if I was to edit that same video the same way, I could do it probably in an hour and a half.
Say you could get
really?
the majority.
Yeah, and
you could get the heavy lifting done in like 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
You know. Yep.
So I did. So it took me about 2 weeks, and I wasn't even gonna like share it on social media or anything like that. But I showed my friends that I went to Puerto Rico with, and they're like, no, like you have to show this. This is awesome. So I posted it, and then it was just a storm of people coming after me. Would you do a wedding? Would you do a music video?
Oh,
would you
cool.
do this, that? So how I got into it, I really I wish I had a really super cool story, but I just kind of fell ass backwards into it. So it was, but yeah. And then from there, it was like the yes part of my brain was just falling down the stairs, because I wouldn't say no to anything, even though, I really didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Something you touched on, you got into your own trucking business because it was something you were comfortable with, something you knew, but it just didn't grab your attention. So you weren't real happy with it. You probably didn't put as much attention and drive towards it as if you're going to start a business like that you really need to do. And then, like you said, you went on that trip, you had a GoPro on it, you had your mind made up that you wanted to take video, you did it, and it looks like you kind of stumbled into a hidden talent, and it also coincides with your passion. So probably you get those two things together, and then crazy things can happen if you follow through with it, if you do this. And, I mean, that's where you're at right now with Corey Jones Productions. You're booked out till, God knows when, and you're doing all these cool things, collaborating with Ben at Farm Focus and everywhere else. So I think that's a good lesson. Like, it's not going to be handed to you. It's okay to chase your dreams and get after it, but you have to get after it. It's not just this abstract thing. The back end of it, those nights where you were working on Premiere Pro, figuring it out, going back to YouTube. There were times I wanted to break my laptop over my knee and just throw it out the window. Yeah. Like, I would get so freaking mad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it would be over just the littlest stuff, too. It's like you go to YouTube and you try and figure out what this little problem is, and it was like you just clicked the wrong button. But
why can't I make the letters blue? Why are they white?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, as far as, like, starting a business goes and everything, I think that's kind of where, I screwed up with starting the trucking thing, is that it wasn't something that I was passionate about, so I didn't care.
I wouldn't call it a screw up, though. That's not where I was going with it. That's an experience that I think a lot of guys, people, they're scared of doing, just pulling the trigger and doing your own thing. And you found out through that experience that this isn't where I want to be. And you didn't even know that this was coming, but it came.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Probably wouldn't be where you are today
no,
without
probably
that,
not.
right?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, because I drove myself nuts doing it. And, it's if I were to give any advice from it to anybody that wants to start a business, is that make sure that you're at least somewhat passionate about it, because if you're not passionate about it, you're not passionate about the grind, you're not going to grind.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I did it because it got me out of a 9-to-5 working for somebody else, but then it ended up not being a 9-to-5. It was a 6 to 8, and I was miserable. And it's like somebody told me when I first started was driving the truck's the easy part.
Yeah.
Everything else on the back end is what sucks. So it's
Right.
like the paperwork. I didn't like paperwork in high school. I sure as hell don't like it doing something that I don't like.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you know, it requires a lot of working on it, you know, mechanic wise. And I'm not a mechanic, so I didn't want to work on it. So I think it was bad in the sense that, like, I was miserable doing it, but it was really good in the end because it pushed me, like, this isn't working. I need to get back to things that I really like doing.
Now, how long did you do that? Or how long did you have that company?
I bought my first truck when I was 23. So I think about almost 4 years.
Okay, so that's a long time to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and towards the end of owning that company, I really wasn't even trucking for the majority of the year because kind of another thing that really helped push me into going and doing what I really wanted to do was my mom got sick with cancer. And so I ended up taking the whole year off from trucking. Like, I was almost facing bankruptcy because I didn't have any money to pay for my truck and all the stuff. And it was just sitting because I was basically playing hospice with no training. You know what I mean? So doing that, and then ended up losing her in the fall of 2020. And it just so happened that around that time I was getting busy enough with my production company that I was like, well, I got to choose one. It's either spend all my time with this miserable trucking company that I can't stand, or it's go all in on the video.
Yeah.
Because I can't have both at the same time with as busy as I am. It's got to be one or the other.
Yeah.
So after she died in August, I stuck it out hauling grain for the rest of 2020. And then come January, I said, screw it, took the production business full time, sold my truck.
Right on.
And I packed up my car and I drove down to Florida, and I took some time off, spent the whole month of January learning to skydive in Florida. So.
All right. There's some good video.
Nice.
There's some good video.
Yeah. So I don't have any video from that, unfortunately, because when you're a student, they actually won't let you wear GoPros or anything like that until you get to like 200 jumps. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So then did that, came back and went balls to the wall with this, and it just worked out. And that inability to say no to people just kind of worked for me because I just went for it, tried it, things worked out. And
you mentioned, going through the loss of your mother there and how you took time off to take care of her. I gotta feel like that really changed your perspective on a lot of things. Like,
it did.
Why am I not wasting my time, but man, I'm doing this thing that I don't really care for. And I don't know if I'm that good at it. I hate paperwork. If nothing else, it gave you a lot of time to step back and think, like, what do I want to do with my time?
It did, for sure. My mom wasn't the kind of person that was just like, get a safe job and settle down. And she was always the biggest supporter of me when I was doing art growing up. She just always kept me going, kept pushing me.
That's awesome.
When I would get pissed off and I wouldn't want to do it anymore and I'd throw the paper, she'd pick it up, put it back in front of me and make me keep going. And so I just kind of took that mentality after she died with me and just
ran with
said, screw it, because, I could end up, from the time that she was diagnosed to the time she died was 1.5 years. It's that quick sometimes. So I'm like, well, I can sit here and be miserable doing shit that I don't like for the rest of my life, or I can just take a chance on this thing and keep going. Yeah. And that's what I did. And so far it's working out pretty good. I mean, I grew up, like I said, I was in rabbit ears here a month ago, getting paid to snowmobile in the backcountry. Like, that stuff I was doing growing up. So
fun.
And there's not this linear line that I feel we all fall into. Like, you're either in the corporate world or you're an entrepreneur. You can kind of do both. And let's say you try the entrepreneur thing, like, okay, I don't like all this back end stuff. I hate editing video. You can go back, you know, to the corporate world or whatever. Like that grain still needs someone to haul it. You know, like that's going to be available for you.
Yeah.
So like take your shot. I mean, if I could tell anyone one thing is take your shot. If it doesn't work, at least you did it. At least you can say you did it. And
Yep.
that story about your mom, I mean, no offense to you, Ben, but Morgan, moms are the best. Like, they're
I
the
hope
best.
my kids say that too.
Don't want to speak for them, but I will on this one.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I took my shot and working hard. It helps that, you know, kind of going back to you got to be passionate about the grind, otherwise you're not going to grind. Every single aspect of doing this business, I love. I love the shooting. I love dealing with people. I love going to wherever, doing whatever. I love the editing. A lot of people don't like the editing part. I like the editing because I feel like that's when I can have the most fun and I can start
Oh, man.
really being creative and make stuff that, you know, wasn't really captured.
Some of it's fun, but for, you know, people on the podcast, I'm raising my hand. I hate editing.
Yeah.
I hate that stuff, man. I mean, it's so tedious, and you got to spend 2 hours on 2 seconds. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of times where that's what it takes to get what you want. You know, and I'm lucky enough to be partnered up with a guy who also loves editing, and man, you can see it. You can see it that he loves to edit. You know,
Yeah.
so it makes a huge difference.
I like it. I mean, it can get annoying, and I mean, there is that part when you get all your clips in the timeline, and it's 45 minutes of clips, and you got to make a minute and a half video. It's like,
Girl, how do you even pick? I mean, I can't even.
But I mean, I like it, and I like learning new effects. That's why I've kind of started using After Effects.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And try and get real crazy with stuff, especially when I'm doing like the after movies for like DJ sets and concerts and stuff, because you can get really creative there.
Right. You can really tweak the colors and the speed. Like, it can be a lot of fun. And that's what they're looking for, is that
absolutely.
innovation. You know what I mean?
Yep. So, but yeah, just constant grind, keep going. And does help, you know, networking's a big part of it too, because it really helps on who you know. I fortunately knew a lot of people that got me into really cool gigs, and that's why, you know, within 5 months of taking it full time, I was asked to come do a handful of nights at the Cultural Series concert series.
Sweet.
You know, on stage in front of thousands of people, multiple nights filming. It was a lot of fun.
So, Ben, it's all about knowing the right people. Now that we know Corey, do we too know a lot of people?
Yeah, and he's going to be doing all kinds of cool stuff for us. So to kind of go back a little bit on that point of, you know, you went out on your own, you started the trucking business, you were tired of doing what you were doing. What do you think it is? It doesn't sound like when you're telling the story that you were really scared. You were just like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, you had just kind of made that decision. What do you think it is that gets people to pull that trigger, to make that, you know, to take that leap?
I don't know. See, I've had a lot of people ask me that question before about how, like, I just dove in not scared of anything. And I kind of look back. I don't ever think about it until people bring it up. And I'm like, geez, I did just kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's just, for me, it was a lot of just believing in myself. Like, I always believed in myself with everything that I did, almost a little too much.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
with the video deal, I mean, people would be like, can you shoot a music video, or, you know, just in all different types of stuff that I've never done before. I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I've done that.
And you go home and you're like, oh,
I don't know.
crap.
So it's like, oh,
There's a YouTube video on how to do that.
yeah, it's like, oh crap. Now I have to learn how to shoot a music
Yeah.
video. But I knew I could do it. And I don't know, something about going towards things that scare you always turn out pretty well. I don't like it did scare me. I did have a little bit of a fear factor with starting both businesses, as anybody would, but like, I mean, that's kind of north on the compass. If it's something scares you, it's probably worth it. So,
Right.
and I've just kind of lived by that for the last handful of years with these businesses, and it just, every time it's just worked out. So
That's I mean, that's a great way to put it. If it scares you, it's probably worth it.
yeah.
I don't know.
makes
I mean, I've heard that, but I don't know if I've I don't know.
Oh, come on. You're a risk taker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking as you're speaking is, was there that, I think a lot of people have that, that mindset of, ooh, money, right? Like, am I going to make it? I don't want to leave the security of something else to drop this, to go all into this. I mean,
Yeah.
did that ever cross your mind? Not really.
Yes, but I'm not really a person that's like super like concerned about money.
Okay.
I really don't care about
But
it
is
very
it-
much.
You knew you had your family's support, God forbid, if you had to go live with
Yeah, I
somebody.
mean,
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
I
have
know.
the backing of
Yeah, I
family.
a little bit. I knew things would probably be okay.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
it's not like I have a trust fund or something like that I can
Right.
fall back on. Nothing
Right.
like, trust me, nothing like that. But and the money thing's kind of funny. It's that you know, the main reason basically that I got into the trucking was because, one, I just wanted to be my own boss. Two, it can be good money. But it was so funny that, like, in doing that and chasing the money, I never found it. Once I got into the video and I'm doing everything purely out of passion,
Right.
the money just kind of
Comes.
followed me. It just kind of came along, and now I don't have, I mean, I've got expensive cameras and whatnot, but I don't have the overhead that I had of trucking, and I'm making more money than I made trucking.
Right.
And I like to think that's because I don't concentrate on the money part of it.
Right.
It just kind of, it came along, and you know, I don't, when I get asked to do projects, if it only benefits me financially, I'm not into it. I don't want to do it. If it doesn't, you know, I'm going to say yes if it, you know, opens more doors for me. You know, like with CWS, I did that, the concert series.
Yeah.
Ended up doing that. That opened the door to later in the summer. I ended up filming a show for, Living Color, Everclear, and Hoobastank. And like Hoobastank was a rock band that I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
Me too.
So being
is you.
so
Sing it.
being on stage with them and being asked to be there
It's huge.
is huge. So and then the money just kind of follows with it.
Yeah.
Videography is not cheap. You know,
No, it's not.
It's not at all. But
Good videography. But
good
yeah,
videography for sure. It's definitely, I have definitely found out that it is a industry where people expect quite a bit for not very much.
yeah, you're spot on with that.
If I could count the number of times that somebody's asked me to come do like a 2-day event and they thought it was going to be like $350, oh my God.
Right.
It's like insulting.
Right.
You
You know what I mean? It's like, do you really think my 2 days of my time is only worth $350? And it's not 2 days, because if you're editing,
Right.
if you're shooting 2 days, you're probably editing 2 days as well.
yeah, but it's just ignorant speaking is what that is.
Yeah.
They just see you
Don't
with the
know.
camera and they think, oh, he just took some pictures. Now he's just gonna email them to us or whatever he does. Yeah, they don't understand the back end of that, and it's like me with the trucking industry. Like, man, I get it that there's a lot of work involved, but like I wouldn't think about all the paperwork, the maintenance to the trucks, the contracts. Like you gotta get them contracts sewed up.
Yeah.
You know, so like no matter what there is, you said there's good money in there. I feel like there's good money in everything if you want to dive in and make it happen. You know, like and that's just one of those things. Oh, there's good money in that. Well, yeah, there's good money in everything if you do it right, if you care about it, if you're going to give it the attention it needs.
Yeah, you definitely have to give it the attention it needs. And the trucking deal, I was not giving it the attention it needed. It's kind of like ignoring that it was even happening. And
Oh, man, why can't those rocks just get themselves
no,
over
I
there?
know it's terrible. But
So is your company just you?
just me,
Do you have others help you, or how's that looking and projected coming down the road as you're getting busier?
So my whole thing was I really wanted to always be by myself. That was the idea in the beginning. Like, I'm just going to do, you know, it's going to be me, nobody else. And it didn't take long for that to change because, like, so at CWS, I actually hired a couple different guys to follow me around with cameras and do behind-the-scenes stuff. And I really, really enjoyed doing that. I thought that was really fun. And especially with the vlog series, I would like to be able to probably sometime this year hire somebody to come do like almost full time, probably. I mean, help me with like the regular like clients and stuff like that as they build, but also like follow me around for my vlogs and do behind the scenes stuff, because really like every time that I've gotten a bunch of business off of videos, it's been my own personal ones.
Yeah.
You know, and then especially
so you
when
should do that. That's
right.
huge.
So
yeah.
especially when you do like the vlogs and stuff, people watch that. They're like, they connect with you, and then they're like, well, I want to hire that guy. He's pretty cool. You know, he's
Heck
doing cool stuff. So having people follow me around at like the concerts and all that stuff and interacting with the crowds, it's fun. So I would like to hire somebody to do that. The problem is that when you get somebody, I'd almost want to train somebody young so I can train them to do my style. Because once you get somebody that's established, they already have their style, and that's it. And it's probably not going to be the same as yours. So I could see that being a little bit of a headache. But
oh, okay, yeah, because you're videoing the videographer, and you want a certain way, and they're doing it a different way.
Right, because I would like their style clips to look like my style clips, so they just kind of mesh together. But
gotcha.
I think that's kind of the age-old issue with growth.
True.
And it's like that with, I mean, even with our business, and that was one of the questions I had written down for you, kind of what your plans were, and Morgan touched on it already. But as it grows, like you have to make that decision, and like you said, you know, money isn't your primary driver, so the decision might not necessarily be based on money, but it might be based more on like, you know, you want to have more influence, you want to spread more of what you're doing out there, and then you've got to figure out like how to let go of some of that control, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think, you know, and some of the things I was writing down again as you were talking about, you know, what makes you an entrepreneur, what makes you take that leap. One of the things that I had written down was, you know, I don't know if you'd call it not necessarily liking authority, but not liking being told what to do.
Yeah.
Because half the time the shit you're being told what to do is stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, what am I doing? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So then you get to that point in your business where it's like, okay, I'm no one's telling me what to do now, but now I've got somebody. I need to add somebody that I'm going to have to tell what to do.
Yeah.
And I want somebody like me that's going to be a go-getter and a driver. And then are they going to think that? Like, I don't want this asshole telling me what to do.
Right.
You know, so you start getting into that conundrum.
It is a conundrum for sure. Trust me, I thought
Yeah.
about it, because it's like,
Oh yeah.
you know,
And it feels good to say no, doesn't it? Like someone
Yeah.
says, hey, I got this really boring video project, and I want you to spend 5 days and just kind of follow me. And you're like, no.
And isn't
Yeah.
it more
No.
work telling somebody what to do when you can just do it yourself?
I
Is
mean,
that a thought
it
too?
goes both ways, because we've been down that road. You know, like, I mean, it's all about having good people, obviously. And I think when it comes down to it, you know, if you circle back around, there's not a lot of people that are willing to do the kind of things, you know, that you're doing. And there's a lot more people that do want to work for someone, want to have that direction, want to do cool stuff, but you know, need what you know you didn't need. And those are the kind of things you got to think about in expanding. And, you know, if you're trying to find more people, because you are going to have to make the decision if you're not already in that position where something, you know, you're at a point where we're either going to just stay like this forever, or we're going to start taking the next steps, and things are going to get crazy.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I didn't. I mean, I find it kind of funny to already be in that position, because there's no part of this that I was expecting. It just all started kind of happening, and I'm like, oh
God.
Jesus Christ,
No. You know, you've been playing that card a lot, but I gotta, you know, you're like, I had no expectations. I feel like, yes, you did. Otherwise, you wouldn't have went for it. Like, you had an expectation.
right. I mean, to an extent, but I didn't think this stuff was going to happen.
And this
you
fast.
know, and this fast. And you know, to what Ben was saying too, is like, it's going to be extra hard for me to find somebody to hire, because if I want them to do, come do cool behind the scenes stuff for me, you know, not just in my own like things that I'm hired to do, but my own personal stuff. And my own personal stuff could very well, like, I'm getting my scuba certification next month, and then I want to go back down to Belize and like get back in with the sharks, but be in there with scuba and stuff. I want them right behind me.
Yeah.
You know, I want them right next to me, filming me the whole time. And it's like, are you really going to find somebody that wants to do that? Or when I do finally get my, you know, Class A, B, C skydive license, it would be pretty cool if they could jump with me. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not totally expecting that, but you know, it's going to be harder than just finding some schmo to come work for you. You know, and it's not only that aspect of it, but you know, are they going to be as passionate about what I'm doing as
Right.
I am? Because
Yeah.
I have no problem if I'm in Puerto Rico or Belize or whatever, getting up at 4:30 in the morning to be somewhere to get a cool shot at sunrise. You know what I mean? Are they going to want to really do that too?
Yeah, and how do you put that on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
There's a YouTube video for that.
Whatever you want,
gotta-
there's a YouTube
yeah,
video.
You touched on something, and I don't know how much you realize it, but with the vlog stuff, that's an opportunity for you to share your personality of your company too.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know what it's going to be or what it is, but somebody somewhere is going to see that and be like, I connect with that.
Yes.
That is me. That's what
It
I
may not
like.
be somebody you know
Right.
right
Right.
now. Honestly,
Yeah.
that
They could
could be
just-
your hunt. Like,
They could just
hey,
stumble across that
video,
vlog.
start videoing a bunch of stuff and
Yeah.
say you need a new
Very,
hire.
yeah, very good point.
Hey, I'm from Hawkins.
You know?
Yeah, Naka. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
that's a pretty good point. You know, and I mean that would be a good way to go about it too. Is that, you know, doing it all by myself, the channel starts growing, people start seeing
Yeah.
it. You know, you might have somebody reaches out to you and be like, "You need a videographer?"
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
come
do.
on now.
We're gonna go cool places and do cool stuff. So
Right.
And that's kind of nice too about what you do, because it probably gives you a little bit bigger audience from a standpoint of, you know, what the talent pool is, who you can hire, you know, for your business. You know, being where we're at right now, we're not far from where you grew up, and this is a small area, and there's not a lot of people around here. You know, and then there's
Yeah.
not going to be a lot of people that are necessarily going to be interested in doing what you're doing. So if you're trying to find somebody to work for you, you're going to have to be looking more on kind of the regional or national stage, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure there's a handful of people in Omaha that would probably like to come on board, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I'm going to find somebody, it's probably going to be somewhere else. So it's,
And don't you think that probably part of the reason why you're doing what you're doing, why you've taken the leap, why you're having success, you know, why you're grinding it out, is because of where you grew up and kind of how you grew up.
yeah, I mean, I would say so. Like, I don't hate where I grew up.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. You know, it's just the same small town thing. You know, like I grew up town of 200 people. My graduating class in high school was 40 people. Like but I always had this feeling like I need more. I need something else. And I just always had that feeling. And you know, maybe you're right. Maybe if I did grow up in a higher population, if I grew up in Omaha, maybe I wouldn't even be remotely interested in
Right.
it.
Well,
know
you
what I
have
mean?
then you have that other perspective that other people don't have, right? Like you have the perspective of a small town, knowing, how do you say, that you wanted something more. If you had that big,
Yeah.
would you think that you wanted something smaller? I mean, who knows?
Right.
But
Right.
I don't know. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have a very similar perspective as you. I was
Yeah,
from a
you're-
small town as well, and I think something that is developed and you don't mean for it to is that you matter. You impact the football team. You know, I played 8-man. You impact the basketball team. Like numbers, just the numbers aren't there. So a family of 4 moving into town, like, all right, we're gonna be able to field a roster. Like people pay attention to you so much more, and it's a community. And like, I don't know if you get that if you're in a class of 500. Like, you can get lost in the shuffle so much easier. And obviously I was in the same kind of mindset. It wasn't that I hated where I was from, and in fact I love it, and I would like to move back, right? Like most people want to move back to where they grew up from. But yeah, you want more. You know, there's jobs are limited there, even if you are doing something like video. You know, it is. But I think what I'm getting at here is, if you're from a small town or a small community, you get this sense, and you don't even know it, that you matter, and what you are doing is affecting people, your team, whatever it is, like, because it's just not there. Like, we still have a community movie theater. So the ticket takers, everybody's volunteers. And if you don't show up to take tickets, that means somebody else, you know, that you know in the community is going to have to take time off or drop what they're doing and go take tickets Friday or Saturday night or at the Sunday matinee. Like, so I just feel like you get that sense of I matter in this world.
Yeah.
More so in like a town like Nihaka, or I'm from Lynch, than you would maybe
Lynch.
somewhere else.
I agree, and that was one of the things that I want to touch on as well. And what I was kind of getting at with that point is, I feel like you see so many more entrepreneurs per capita, or whatever the number would be, coming out of small towns.
Yeah.
Than you
Really?
do out of big
I
cities.
mean, I don't know, but
I mean, if you think about it,
I mean,
like
it
how
does make
many
sense,
people
but-
growing up down here? I mean, and you don't have to rattle the number off, but just thinking in the back of your head, how many people you know that you've grown up with or that you're around right now in this area that all own their own business or are an entrepreneur in one way or another? It's a ton of
Yeah,
them.
basically,
Yeah.
almost all of them. I
Right.
mean, everybody that I know. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously not everybody,
Yeah.
but the vast majority of them and people that I surround myself with are, and that's I mean, that's a good point too. Is people starting businesses? Is you got to surround yourself with like-minded people.
100%.
Absolutely.
You absolutely have to. If you're hanging out with a bunch of losers that
You gonna
sleep
be a
all
loser.
weekend, you're probably going to
Yeah.
be the same. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And doing a business, you can't do that anymore. I mean, if I could count, I can't count the number of people that ever since all this has started happening with me that have been like, must be nice, or
Right.
wish I could
Yeah,
do that.
those
But it's
guys.
always funny that it's the same people that say that are the same people that can't get their ass out
Are
of bed till
still
noon
doing
on
nothing.
a Saturday or Sunday. It's like, well, if you don't,
Bro, playing Call of Duty. Bro, playing Call of Duty.
yeah,
If
no,
that-
you know what
if
I
that
mean?
even.
And
Gotta do something.
or
I'm watching somebody play Call of Duty.
and I can touch on that because I mean, I even with both businesses in the beginning of them, I still was the guy that was getting drunk as shit on Friday night and not waking up, till halfway in the day on Saturday or Sunday. But it's just, I don't. If you're doing that all the time and you can't let that go, I don't want to hear "I wish" or "must
Yeah.
be nice" or "must be rough"
Right.
when you can't get your ass out of bed to
Yeah.
when the clock says a.m.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
So.
I think there's a saying out there like you are the sum of the average of the 5 people you hang
Yeah.
out with. the
Yep.
most.
Yep.
Yes.
And the more you think about it, I feel like the more credence that little slogan or saying has.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So how does that work with you traveling so much? Do you have a girlfriend? Are you in a relationship? Like that doesn't work?
Ooh, the
No.
spicy stuff. I like
Yeah.
I mean, I
Taking
gotta
it now.
ask, like, I mean, how do you do that?
No, because it's, and it's not that I'm opposed to it. It's
Okay.
just that like, I'm not
You're not
not here enough. And then like I am a wheels from the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed. I'm just wheels churning about like the video production, what I'm doing next, ways to try and improve myself and stuff. So I think in order to have a girlfriend, she'd probably have to be on the same
wavelength.
wavelength because
Yeah.
otherwise what the hell I'm
And it sounds to me like if I were to guess, I didn't even think about a girlfriend or
Okay.
whatever. until you
I
said
was
that,
just
but
thinking, how does he
That's
do
true.
that
When
when
you
you
s-
travel?
when you said that, the first thing that goes in my head is that the story that you've been telling so far is how focused you are on doing what you're doing, and I don't know that there'd be a whole lot of time, and a lot of girls like, I mean guys too, but like if you can't put that attention and that that focus in that
Yeah, we need
enough
some
to them,
attention.
yeah, then it's it probably
Me
isn't
too,
gonna work.
Morgan.
I guess.
Me too.
Okay, so it's not just girl.
It's girls and Andy.
Thanks. There we
Yeah.
go.
I
Yeah.
think it's that's probably, if I had to guess, that's probably where your head's at. That
That's
you want to
kinda
get
where
some
my
of that
head's
stuff
at.
rolling. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all right. You can say it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going back to it. I didn't expect all this. It's kind of
I feel ya.
I didn't expect all this. So now that it's happening, I'm like, okay, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
go.
Yeah. It's,
So-
strike while the iron's hot.
Yep, absolutely.
Let me throw this at you.
Sure.
Would like a dream scenario be to find a girl that's willing to be one of your camera people?
I thought of that too.
Yeah.
Ben's face is like, oh no.
That'd be great till I have to fire her ass.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, some difficult conversations might be coming.
Ooh. That may not be
You
good.
guys break up and then you're going to Brazil or something for a big old shoot.
Oh, and
Oh,
she's
yeah.
got
Yikes.
video on you.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll have another girlfriend down the road, and then there'll be videos of you and your previous girlfriend.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
that's
And then
good.
she'll be mad at you, and
Are you gonna delete these 60 videos
Exactly,
of you guys
yeah.
traveling the world?
yeah, right, yeah,
No, I'm not.
You look so
Oh, look.
happy in that video.
yeah. It looks like you guys had so much fun.
Who's this?
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
Forget
Maybe
it.
a girl's not a good option.
Well,
Not opposed. It
Yeah.
would just have to be the right circumstances.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to give up what I'm doing for anything. This is what I want to do. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
So it's
So it's finding somebody that will fit in the picture of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Yeah.
I think so.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Knows what you want.
I like to think so.
I mean, how old are you? Can we say? Can we ask?
28.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, God, you're so young.
Yeah.
Sitting at this table with some old
Oh
people.
man, yeah. Jeez. Like 80.
I know. So like
And,
such a
and
mom.
I think about it. It's like, man, it would be awesome if I would have started doing this at like 22. But I knew myself at 22 and probably wouldn't have been good doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had a higher ranking at Halo.
Yeah, no, I was just partying a little too hard, and I don't think the two
But how
don't
does
mix.
that work when you talk about partying and then video partiers? Can
So
you
I-
be drinking while you're doing this, and then when do you know when to turn it off? Like for
I
yourself?
had to experiment.
No?
For
Okay,
sure.
okay.
I mean, it took a while. I remember, so they would come over to us at CWS and like ask the DJ and ask me like, what do you guys want to drink? And they'd bring over like totes. And
jeez.
I was like, Justin Bruns, DJ Jab. He's the first night. He's one of my good buddies, and he's
Okay.
how I got into doing CWS. He hooked me up with that, and he's like, I want a bunch of water and a few beers or whatever. I was like, Bud Light. So to bring over, got a whole tote of Bud Light
Oh,
for me. And I'm not, I've never been on stage, especially not at something like that. So I'm, like drinking Bud Light. I'm not like, it's not like I'm up there shotgunning. Like if I'm running around, I'm really busy. I'm interacting with the crowd, interacting with the DJ, flying drone, doing all that. But I was drinking Bud Light, and then I was doing enough running around on stage. And I think that night it had to be well over 100 degrees on stage.
Oh.
And so like Bruns is dying, I'm dying, and I don't even have any water. And like I ended up getting to the point where like I had to take a knee because I was like seeing stars. I was like, you know what? I think
shoot.
I'll take some waters too.
Yeah.
This isn't working. So
Bud Light's mostly water, though.
I mean,
that was my thoughts.
So hold on, I got to ask you. I went to a few games, CWS, and in between innings, there was always that drone out in left field. Was that your drone?
No, that was
Up
not
and
my
down?
drone. I
Okay.
actually had nothing to do with the actual purpose of CWS,
Oh,
which is
okay.
baseball.
yeah.
I was doing the
You're
concert series over at Mattress Factory.
Okay.
So, which was probably the coolest, I'd say easily the coolest experience I've had so far doing this.
Is that the first year they used the mattress factory, or am I just out of it?
You're out of it because
Okay.
they've been using it
Oh.
for years. So, and
Wow.
it's
I
grown
am
big
old.
enough that I mean, the crowds are huge,
Okay.
thousands and thousands of people. So, which was a really unique, experience getting up there. And what was nice was I was hired by the DJs and the artists to do video for them, and which was better because then it became personal between us. So it wasn't necessarily like obviously they're the attraction, but it became a little less like just them on stage, and it kind of became us.
Oh.
And it was a lot of fun. So like Bruns had like the crowd shout out to me a handful of times, and you got 1,000 people yelling at you. It's a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
like looking out over, I would be like behind the booth with him doing filming and stuff and look out, and it's just a sea of people. Is a lot of fun. And I never really had a direction that I wanted to go with the videos. Like I didn't want to be just a wedding videographer or just this or that. But after that first night of doing that, I was like,
This is it.
I want to do this.
That was
Like,
fun.
this
Yeah,
is
that's fun.
awesome. So I ended up doing the second night for Ashton Martin out of Kansas City. He's like the top DJ in Kansas City. And then Bruns ended up, I think that's how it went down. Bruns ended up calling me, and he's like, hey, Club Killers are going to be here out of Las Vegas next weekend. They're like an international DJ act. and can you do video for him? I was like, yeah, I
Either.
absolutely can. Yeah.
That was definitely one of those yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of question is that?
Right. That's sweet.
Yeah.
That is
so
so cool.
a lot of fun.
So probably a couple final things. We're getting pretty close to the end of recording time. I don't know, Andy, if you have anything, but again, from a business standpoint, what do you think? And we've touched on it a little bit, but anybody that would be that's like on that edge, they're thinking about doing their own thing. What would be kind of the most important piece of advice you think you'd give them, and knowing what you know so far, to help make that decision or to not make that decision? You know what I mean?
Well, like we have touched on it where I said that you do have to be passionate about it to a point. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to really make it work. You know, if you can't get up early on a Saturday, early on a Sunday and hammer it out, because there's always stuff that you can do. And if you're not willing to do it, then it's not the right fit for you. Like I just started doing a thing, I call it 40-minute emails. It's not a 40-minute email, but I like traveling and I know how to do real estate video. So I'll take 40 minutes every day or every other day, and I'll start Googling resorts and condos and stuff in Central America or wherever, and just cold email them, maybe call them, whatever, and ask them if they need video work. Spend 40 minutes doing that a day. It hasn't worked out so far, but it's just one of those things that, like, that's part of the grind. You know, you throw enough shit at the wall, something's going to stick.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Because, like, people are always like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how I could make it grow. It's like, you got to think outside the box like that. Like, I just email a bunch of people every day.
And you have to get to that point. You have to get out of your comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing is get out of your comfort zone. If you're in your comfort zone, you're going to lose 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. Every new style of video that I did, like it was a music video or whatever, I was not in my comfort zone doing that. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just hoping that it was going to work out, and it always did, and I always learned something from it. And that's another good point to jobs that I take is not only is it going to open doors, but am I going to learn something?
Yeah.
And you're not going to learn something unless you're outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get, you know, like you said, sending those emails, you know, trying to make those phone calls, trying to grow that business. You don't have that fear of failing, you know, in terms of it's like, I might look stupid. This person might send me an email back and tell me to screw off, or, you know, think I'm some dumb idiot from Nebraska or whatever, but I don't care. I got a business to grow. I'm going to go after this and see what we can do.
Right. And the thing people need to keep in mind too is that those people, they actually don't care either.
Yeah.
You know, you send them an email,
Yeah.
what are they going to do?
Right.
They're going to say no.
Right.
You call them, what are they going to do? They're going to say no. And then 2 minutes later, they're going to forget all about it anyway. So what's there?
Right.
What's
What do you
there
got
to
to
really?
lose?
You
Yeah.
don't have anything
Right.
to lose.
Yeah.
For sure.
And especially a day and age when you can do email, fire. If you can, fire off 50 of them a day.
Yeah, it's easy enough, right?
It's
Yeah.
easy enough.
Yep.
Be a little creative with
Yeah.
it. Don't just
Yeah.
be like, hey,
Yeah.
hire me.
It's
But,
a bunch of spam, yeah.
you know,
So what do you think on the flip side of that? What would be like the one thing that you would tell people why you shouldn't start your own business? Is there anything that you can think of?
it's why you shouldn't start your own business.
Yeah, what would be the hardest thing about it? What would be the thing that you would tell people that this is something that you need to think about that you're going to run into? That might be a little bit tough. It's not something you're going to run into in your day-to-day 9 to 5.
Always 100% way more work than what you're already doing.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things when I started my trucking business is like, I want to work for myself so I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Not at all. So if you can't, don't do it if you can't be the person that can take a year, 2 years without taking time off, because that's what it's going to take in the beginning to grow your shit. I knew that doing trucking, I wasn't necessarily doing that, but once I found what I really like to do, which is what I'm doing now, you know, it was easy, and you know, it is a 7-day-a-week thing, and it's always going to be. So if you have a vision in mind, you can do it. You just, like we said, it's hustle
Yep.
and grind. And if you can't do it, there's even a little bit of thought in your head like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. You probably can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to have that no fear of failing. You know, and like you said, you've said multiple times that willingness to grind, because that's what it's going to be. multiple times.
Willingness to grind, and another thing too, like you just touched on it, willingness to fail, because there's going to be parts where you do fail.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I hate that it's thought of as a failure. You know, like it's a learning
Right.
process.
Yeah.
Like, man, like
It is.
But
if
it is. You
everything
screwed
that I
up,
wanted,
right?
well, I don't even know if you screwed up. Like you're figuring it out.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to quote unquote fail. And it's an inherent thing that we all have though. We're afraid
Yeah.
of failure. Me too, like big time.
Yep.
And it's a tough thing to get over. And I can't wrap my mind or arms around it to like really get into that, figure that out. Like why?
It absolutely sucks. I mean, I've had several times since I've started doing this, like the next big step in the works, the next big collaboration going on.
Yeah,
and
you're second guessing yourself.
And it just, things happened, and maybe I screwed up on quoting a price, or maybe I didn't come off right to the people and I lost it. And you know, I mean, I've had stuff where we were working for months on starting something. I don't know exactly what I did, but something happened and they dropped me and they went with somebody else. And that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. It's going to happen. You're going to lose bids. You're going to lose.
But how do you not let that go to your head, right? Like it's
Because
an easy thing.
I don't know. It just always seems like every time that's happened, something better's happened in place of it.
Yeah. That's just being a really optimistic, positive person.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier,
True.
believe in myself almost deliriously
That's
so,
good.
and optimistic probably almost deliriously so a few times. But I mean, it's worked out so far, and
Yeah.
I think it's going to keep working out. I mean, I have some stuff in the works that I can't announce at this point because the people that I'm collaborating with haven't announced what's going on yet. But I
Yeah.
mean, I got bigger stuff coming in down the road. And
So you're busy for the rest of the year.
Sounds to me like we just need to get him a tote of Bud Light and a camera.
Yeah.
Right?
No water.
That's right.
Yeah, no
That's
water.
right. No water. Don't
All
need water.
gas, no
All Bud
brakes.
Light. No, I did. I actually, I learned that night, and I learned after a few, because the DJs always want to party with you
Oh,
and
for
stuff. If I'm
sure.
going to any of these like clubs in Omaha and stuff and doing, you know, filming these DJs, they always want to do shots, and the people will always bring us like shots over to the stage and stuff. And I learned early on that's like, slow your roll.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, yeah, and then I would go home and I wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, did I get any good footage?
You have to go back and look at the video.
I'm like, and then I go back and I'm like looking through the footage and I'm like,
Right.
it's like
'Cause
the worst.
you can't
That's like
reenact.
the worst thing ever. Like normal people, they get drunk and can't remember. They're like, at least it's over.
and
But
unfortunately,
you got it on camera.
unfortunately, that is me. And one time I woke, so that camera that we're recording with up there, between the body and the lens, that's about $5,000. And I did a show one time in Omaha, and I woke up the next morning, and it was one of those mornings where I was like, oh man, I got to see how this footage looks. I open up my bag. It's not there.
Oh God.
What?
I was like,
Not just
So
the
I
SD card,
hauled-
the whole thing.
I hauled ass up there. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. I called them on the way. I'm like, is there a Black Sony camera sitting in the corner somewhere? And they're like, well, I don't know. We'll look and get back to you. I'm like, no, bullshit. It's like, I drove up there and there it was. Like, I was like, somebody stole that thing. I was like, it is so stolen. And I went up and went to the corner where the DJ booth was the night before. And it was sitting like on the lens in the corner. I was like,
I'll take this.
yeah, I was like, oh my God. So
new business. You got
Oh, man.
all kinds of
Shoot.
everything you got invested in equipment and stuff, and trying to make it work. And
yeah, so I learned not to drink so much that night. So
Yeah.
the next time that I did it, I only drank water, and that wasn't much fun either because I like to interact with the people that are in the crowd and stuff. And when they're hammered and you're sober, it's like, hey,
Hi. Yeah.
yeah, you know.
They're a
so-
little annoying and you're not.
It's scary enough when you just lose your SD card or you misplaced
God.
it. You know, I couldn't imagine the whole camera and lens.
Well, the SD card too, because that's the thing. Like, I have to tell a lot of people too that think I'm gonna basically do a bunch of stuff for nothing. The SD cards alone that I use for that camera are almost $500
yeah,
a
Really?
piece.
yeah.
So it's like I have to invest $500 just to get the footage,
yeah, just to collect it.
let
Right.
alone
Yeah.
do the whole thing. So
But they want you for 2 days for 300.
yeah,
I'll sign up for that.
yeah, right. Sounds like a hell of a
So
deal.
speaking of drinking,
Oh.
I don't know if the cameras should be able to see this.
I think
So we got this cool podcast table that my buddy built, and we've got a couple of folks that we work with. So, Charred Chisel are the guys that made this flag. They did a great job on this thing. It's pretty sweet. See it up there.
Oh yeah.
It's got a little hidden compartment in here.
Lucky
What do
there.
we have
Look
here?
at that.
Coming from Cooper's Chase. Andy, you can probably tell us a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
about Cooper's Chase, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, just talking small town. This is out of West Side, Nebraska.
West Point.
West Point.
West Point. Yep.
West Point.
Side.
Yep. Yeah, West Side's a place too.
Yeah, it is. I was like, wait, I don't remember
But-
him saying that.
But what's really cool is they actually take local grain, to
Nice.
distill this. So that's pretty
Yeah, they
sweet.
do.
I'm
You
a
know,
vodka guy myself,
there.
so
That's a
Well,
good vodka.
We
Like,
had
what we got.
Doug, who's the owner of the main distiller, I
Yeah.
assume. He's been on a couple episodes. He's a great dude. So he provided us with a little bit of drinks for our guests, and then we got these cool cups from this other company in Nebraska called Handle Bend. So they make all this stuff out of copper, handmade, stamped.
Show the camera.
They make
there's a
they
camera
make all
over here,
kinds
too.
of things.
Oh,
There.
Best.
Shot glasses, straws, these cups. So these boys, and we'll
You could bludgeon somebody to death with this thing. It's
yeah,
heavy.
it's a beast.
The big mugs, like, they're really heavy.
Get a workout.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll get you a set because one of the things we got set up with these guys is that all of our podcast guests are getting a pair of these. So these are just kind of
Nice.
like
They're
little
just not in yet.
whiskey sippers. Yep, they're on their way.
Hell
And
yeah.
obviously they private label them. So those boys handleben.com is pretty cool. So what we like to do is have ourselves a little drink.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
I'm all in on
You
that.
better chug that beer, Andy. I got that cup.
Mine's gone.
Oh, okay.
I chugged it. It was
All
like
right.
I was working at a party.
Do you like
I'll take any cup.
you bourbon or vodka
I
guy?
would-
I'm a
Try the-
vodka guy. I don't
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
I just don't do the
Last time I passed up both. I'm gonna try
Passed
the
up
bourbon.
both?
Yeah,
Bourbon?
because I was.
You're
I
not
can
a
do the
big-
vodka.
I'm not a big.
You're not a big hard.
I'm not a big hard liquor.
I wasn't-
I know. White
I wasn't
Claw.
very old the first time
Nothing
I
wrong
threw
with
up
that.
on whiskey, and it just everything. It
Stuck with you.
ruined it for
Yeah.
me.
Got it.
Can't
in
do
your
it.
nose there. Like, no,
Ooh, I think
not
I-
gonna do that again.
Okay.
It is good stuff. I mean,
Smells good.
we have, bourbons here and there. I'm primarily a beer guy, but
But you like bourbon.
I do like bourbon. I think they do a great job.
You always say that every time we drink it. I think
It's
you
good.
really love
It's
his.
good.
And
Yeah.
and Doug's a brilliant guy too. You mentioned Doug Trainer,
Yep.
founder.
Yeah, does a hell of a job.
Okay.
So
All
here's
right.
a cheers to small business
Yeah.
in the future. Good luck to you, brother.
Smooth.
That's not bad.
Not
Oh.
bad at all.
I
That's
thought
not
that
bad
was
at
gonna
all.
Be like,
bourbon's
I was
so
ready to
easy
go like
drinking.
this, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So to close it out, where can folks find you? What if you wanted folks to kind of learn about your business and follow what you're doing?
Yeah. So Instagram and YouTube is basically where I do everything. It's kind of funny with that because I don't really I do all this stuff, and then people go to my Instagram and YouTube, and they're like, "This guy has no subscribers or followers. How is he doing all this stuff?" I kind of started the Instagram and YouTube late in doing this and changed it all up. So, but both my YouTube and Instagram are Corey Lee Jones, and Corey spelled Corey, and Lee is spelled Lea.
Okay,
And then my website is CoreyJonesProductions.com.
cool.
Awesome.
Learn a little bit about your stuff. I know on the website you've got previews and stuff of things you've done and see some
Yep,
of that cool
I
stuff
do.
like you've talked about today.
Yep. So on the website, I do always there's a featured weekly video, usually the newest video that I've done, and there's a newsletter sign up on there to kind of talk about future things that I'm doing and what's going on and what I'm up to, and gonna do a lot of learning new things this year. So gonna do the scuba diving, get back into the skydiving. Just all kinds of different stuff. I'm going to try and film it all along the way, so can
Sweet.
pretty much follow along.
Adrenaline junkie.
Like to do a little bit scary stuff. I did the swimming with snorkeling with sharks in Belize. I'd like to go back and you can do scuba with the sharks and whale sharks and stuff. So
Nice.
hopefully get that done.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun. I would
Yeah, it
love
would.
that.
Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah.
Well, it's good talking with you, man. Appreciate you coming out. We're looking forward to doing some work with you, with our businesses as well.
Yeah.
Maybe with the podcast, video on the podcast is kind of cool.
For sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I got. You guys got anything?
I know. We went
No.
over a lot of things there.
I
It got
know.
kind of deep there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was good.
For
Yeah.
sure. No, this is a lot of fun. It's the first podcast. I'd like to do more of them. This is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have you out again.
I
So-
mean, look at the walls.
I
You
do,
li-
I
you
will
like
say,
that,
I will
right?
say
Real
that
deal.
like I wasn't expecting you to half-ass it, but you went a little more full-ass than I thought you were going to. I was like, I wonder if Ben's just gonna have it like at his kitchen table or something.
Right,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
I
But
mean-
then I came in here, I was like, damn, he's got soundboard. and all
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
shit up.
He's like, God,
Ben's
we
a
can't
full
have
ass
it.
kind of guy.
Yeah,
Right.
Ben is a full-ass kind
Yeah,
of dude.
he's definitely not a half-ass. so.
Yeah, we can't have that.
All
Cool.
right.
All right, guys.
All
We'll
right.
appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you for
All right.
having me.
Yep.
Peace.